Hey kiddos, and good morning. It's time for another lesson video. Let's get started. So on our schedule, we're starting with number 1, our calendar. So let's check it out. We are still in the month of April, and looking at our calendar, we can see that yesterday was Tuesday. So if yesterday was Tuesday, then today is Wednesday. Coming down to see the date, we can see that today is Wednesday, April 15th, and the year is 2020. So if today is Wednesday, that means tomorrow is going to be Thursday. Let's sing our Days of the Week song. There are 7 days, there are 7 days, there are 7 days in the week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What are they? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Awesome. Number 2, our daily write it. Let's see our picture for the day. Okay. Here we go, guys. What is this a picture of? Well, there's a bowl with salsa, and this chip is going into the salsa. What would that be called when you put a chip into a dip? Well, you dip it. You dip the chip into the dip or into the salsa. So our word today is dip. Let's tap it. Dip. 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 So if we were to spell that word, how would we spell it? D-I-P. Dip. Okay, our sentence today using the word dip is this. We like to dip chips. We like to dip chips. Remember to do everything that good writers do. Capitals, punctuation, forming our letters correctly. Okay? Now, remember, family members, these resources are in our packet for these weeks. These are great to have out while your child's writing their sentences. Remember, we're sticklers on letter formation, so if you could please have these out, make sure they're forming their letters correctly, and if they're confused on one, or if they do one incorrectly, we're really trying to instill correct letter formation so we're not breaking bad habits down the road, okay? So kiddos, go ahead and pause the video and write your sentence. Oh, goodness, I forgot it. We like to dip chips. Okay, let's check it out. All right, how many words? We like to dip chips. 5 words. And our last word was a tricky word. There's a digraph in here. We've talked about this digraph a little bit, but we haven't really focused on it yet. When you put C and H next to each other, it always says ch. Ch. We like to dip chips. Okay? So, this is a trick word. We, like we've been working on too. To is a trick word. Dip is a word that we can sound out. So is chip once we learn our digraph. Ch, I, p, s, chips. Remember when we add an S to the end of a word, it makes it plural. Remember, plural means that there's more than one. Now, when I say this sentence, it is a telling sentence, which means I have a period at the end. We like to dip chips. If you got it all correct, go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back. Nice job. And if you made an error, or a few, that's okay. Go ahead and pause the video and fix your sentence now. Okay, now that your sentence is correct, let's move on to number 3, our letter and number review. And today we're going to be writing the letter U. So, holding my pencil or my marker correctly, uppercase U starts at the skyline. Go straight down to the grass line, but then curve and go straight up to the skyline. U, up, Lowercase u is a plain line letter. Plain line, down to grass line, curve up to the plain line, straight down to the grass line. U, up, Our number today is 1 less than 16. So what does less mean? Less means smaller. So our number is 1 smaller than 16. If it's 1 smaller, that means we're taking away 1. So 16 take away 1 is how many? 15. Our number is 15 today. A 1 and a 5 makes 15 dive. So we'll do our straight line 1. It is fun. And then for a 5, go back, straight down to the plain line, and then curve. So we say back and down, not like jelly. Give that 5 a big old belly. Go ahead, pause the video, and make multiple, that means more than 1, uppercase U, lowercase u, and 15. Go ahead and do that now. All right. And now that you have written your letters and numbers on your special lined paper, let's go ahead and move down to number 4, our lesson plan packet. Now, we are in week 4. Whoops, that's upside down. Week 4 is what we're working on this week. And looking at our lesson plan, today is Wednesday, so we're on day 3. And the first thing is reading. So you're going to read Finding Your Way Around and follow the directions on the reading sheet, which is right here. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to find the reading sheet for today, and you're going to ask the big question. So the big question today is, how are maps helpful, and what kind of information might you find on a map? Okay? To answer that question, we're going to read this text today, Finding Your Way Around. So parents, you'll read both of these pages 4 and 5 to your child. Remember to point to the words as you read them so your child can practice following the text along with you. When you're done with that, you're going to ask, how do maps help us? What does a map of the United States show? Okay, so those are your reading activities for the day. When you're done, we'll move on to math. So we're doing our daily drills, day 3. So you've already completed day 1 and day 2. Today we're doing day 3. Color the squares green. Super quick, super easy. Color the squares green. Now, did I say scribble the squares green? No, color them. So we color in the lines using a pencil grip, coloring all of the squares green. When we're done with that, we're going to continue our number fluency paper. So that means families will set the timer for 1 minute, and then we'll see how far the kiddo can get in 1 minute, making a line to show where they've stopped. Now, remember, if your child misses a number, when the timer goes off, go through and check those missed numbers with them. And our goal is to see if our fluency and accuracy increases as the week goes on. Remember, kiddos, fluency means being able to look at something and know what it is without thinking about it. That is our goal for this activity. And since both of our math activities are really quick for the day, well, for the week, really, we have this math resources paper. If you have any extra time now or throughout the day, you can do any of these activities to help strengthen your child's understanding. All right, once we're done with that, we're going to move on to the reading log. The reading log is the same every day, right? I don't think I need to go over it, but remember, the child can read to the family for 10 minutes, or the family can read to the child for 10 minutes. And then you're writing down the date, the minutes read on the reading log. All right, I made a change to phonics. So for number 5, for every day this week, it does talk about a Foundations journal. I don't want you guys to worry about that. We do our daily write it every day. So I definitely think that that can take the place of doing a phonics Foundations journal. I definitely want to reiterate though that as we are doing our daily write it, we need to be using our Foundations paper. So remember, I posted it on Class Tag. You can go back and you can print off some copies of that. But we're really trying to instill proper letter formation and line usage. And then the last activity for the day is our short vowel sounds sheet, which is this, okay? So for the day, you're going to look at each picture, tap out the sounds, write them in the boxes, and then write the word. They did an example for you. So this is a bus. Tapping out bus, s, bus. They wrote the sounds in the boxes, then they wrote the words correctly on the line. You'll do that for web, net, tub, mop, pig. The next page, say it, tap it, spell it. Say the name of the picture, and then you're going to circle the word that tells what this picture is. So this is a hen. They circled the word hen. N. You'll do the same thing for bud, sub, mug, and pot. All right. Go ahead and pause the video and you can complete your packet activities now. Great job. Let's continue with our video and we are on number 5, read aloud. So remember, we are doing literacy activities for our read aloud, just like we would do in school. So we are on module 4, where we are taking an adventure and we're learning about the world, all of the continents on our planet Earth. So continuing learning about the world and our different continents. So all of our continents are our big pieces of land on our planet Earth. And we have studied Europe and Asia. We're going to go back to Europe today. And I have a map that is just a map of Europe. Today, we are going to think about the countries in Europe, but really just one country in particular, Spain. Today, we're going to read a story where the setting takes place in Spain. So here is Europe, here is Spain. So this is just a close map of Europe, and looking at our big map of the world, we're looking at Europe. So Spain would be there. So today we're going to read a story that's called Ferdinand. And as we read the story that's set in Spain, it's going to help us understand more about the culture of the people in Spain. As you listen to the story, I want you to think about your notices and your wonders. So let's go ahead and let's begin. So this story is called The Story of Ferdinand, and it's by Munro Leaf, and it's illustrated by Robert Lawson. The Story of Ferdinand. The Story of Ferdinand by Munro Leaf, illustrated by Robert Lawson. Once upon a time, in Spain, there was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together. But not Ferdinand. He liked to just sit quietly and smell the flowers. He had a favorite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in its shade all day and smell the flowers. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid that he would be lonesome all by himself. "Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls and skip and butt your head?" she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. "I like it better here where I can just sit quietly and smell the flowers." His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she let him just sit there and be happy. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was very big and strong. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight at the bullfights in Madrid. But not Ferdinand. He still liked to sit just quietly under the cork tree and smell the flowers. One day, 5 men came in very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting, leaping and jumping, so the men would think that they were very, very strong and fierce and pick them. Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care, so he went out to his favorite cork tree to sit down. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on the nice cool grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him. And that's just what this bee did to Ferdinand. Wow, did it hurt? Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around puffing and snorting, butting and pawing the ground as if he were crazy. The 5 men saw him, and they all shouted with joy. He was the largest and fiercest bull of all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid. So they took him away for the bullfight day in a cart. What a day it was. Flags were flying, bands were playing, and all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. They had a parade into the bull ring. came the banderillos with long, sharp pins with ribbons on them to stick in the bull and make him mad. Next came the picadores, who rode skinny horses, and they had long spears to stick in the bull and make him madder. Then came the matador, the proudest of all. He thought he was very handsome, and he bowed to the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword, and was supposed to stick the bull last of all. Then came the bull, and you know who that was, don't you? Ferdinand. They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the, I need to look up this word to make sure I'm saying it right, and all the banderilleros were afraid of him, and the picadores were afraid of him, and the matador was scared stiff. Ferdinand ran to the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns around. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw the flowers and all the lovely ladies' hair, and he just sat down quietly and smelled. He wouldn't fight and be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled. And the banderilleros were mad, and the picadores were madder, and the matador was so mad he cried because he couldn't show off with his cape and sword. Guys, there's some tricky words in this book. I'm going to have to look some of these words up because I don't think I'm saying them correctly. See, even teachers and adults have to learn new words too. All right. So, they had to take Ferdinand home. And for all I know, he is sitting there still, under his favorite cork tree, smelling the flowers just quietly. He is very happy. The end. All right, guys. So some of the words in this book were Spanish, and I did not read this book before I read it to you guys, and so I was pretty confused on how to pronounce or say some of the words. So I'll have to look that up. But I want you guys to think, who was the main character in this story? Remember, that means who was the book about? Ferdinand. He was the main character. And the setting is where the story takes place. So where was this story? It was in Spain. So the setting was in Spain. Okay? What did this book teach us about Spain? Well, in Spain, they have bullfights. Do we have bullfights in America? No, we don't. And there were some tricky words in here, words that did not sound like we say in English. And that's true. It's because some of these words were Spanish words. Okay? That's because they speak a different language. Some of them speak Spanish in Spain. I want you to talk to your family about a notice and a wonder that you have. And family, you don't need to send these notices and wonders to me today since we're not talking about a new continent. So just go ahead and have a conversation about a notice and a wonder. But before we stop talking about our book today, remember the first time we read a text, we might come across words that we don't know. just like we talked about, I came across some words that I didn't know. Sometimes you can go back and you can look and see and reread the sentence and look at the picture, and it might help you know what the word is. So let's look at this page real fast. It says he had a favorite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. Well, there might be a few words in there that we as kindergartners don't know what they mean. Like, have we heard of the word pasture? I think we have talked about that word before, but it's been a while. So it says he had a favorite spot out in the pasture. Looking at the illustration, what might a pasture be? Well, it looks like he's in a big field. So a pasture is a big field where there's not many trees. It also says under a cork tree. I had never heard of a cork tree before I read this book, but it's just a certain kind of tree. So looking at illustrations can help us understand new words. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed our story today about Ferdinand. Our thematic video on YouTube today, I found a Disney version, just a real short video of the telling of the story Ferdinand. So we can watch that later today if we want to. But go ahead and pause the video, and I want you guys to talk to your families about a notice and a wonder that you have from our story. Alrighty guys, let's move on. Number 6, math. Now, I'm doing our math over here today because we don't need to do work with our actual 3D fat shapes, okay? But before we do our sheets, our worksheets, let's go ahead and review our 3D shapes. What shape is this? A cube. A cube is like the dice you drop. A sphere. A sphere is like a bouncing ball. Cone. A cone is like a party hat. Cylinder. A cylinder is like a can of pop. Okay, guys, today we're going to do a sort. We're going to think about shapes that are flat or 2D and shapes that are fat, 3D. Remember all of the shapes that we just went over? These shapes, these are all 3D fat shapes. You can pick them up. You can hold them. 2D shapes, those are just like outlines of shapes. You can't pick them up. You can't hold them. You can just see them. Okay? So, on our pages today, the first thing that we are going to do is reading the directions. It says identify the 2D or flat shapes. Trace the circle around the square. Circle the other flat shapes. Okay, here we go, guys. So, they said to trace the square. All right, a circle, is that a flat shape? Yes, I'm going to give it a circle. A cylinder, is it flat? No, a cylinder is fat. So we're going to cross it out. A cube, is it flat? No, a cube is fat. So we're going to cross it out. A cone, is it flat? No, a cone is fat. Okay, so we're going to cross it out. A cylinder, is it flat? No, a cylinder is fat, so we're going to cross it out. A rectangle, is it flat? Yes, so we're going to circle it. A triangle, is it flat? Yes, so we're going to circle it. This is another triangle. It has 3 sides and 3 vertices. It might not look like this triangle, but it's still a triangle. Is it flat? Yes, it is a flat shape. This sphere, is it flat? No, and they're already showing you that because they've put an X through it for us. So we're just going to trace it. Oh, this is on its side. So what shape is it? A cone. They're just showing it on its side. Is it a flat shape? No, it is a fat shape. So we're going to cross it out. Nice job. All right. The very last page we're going to do today, the directions say identify the 2D or flat shapes. Use red to color the flat shapes. So let me get my red marker because I'm going to follow the directions. All right, so let's find our flat shapes. Now, this looks like a circle, but it has these lines on it. Those lines means that it's curved, okay? So those curves mean that it is a fat shape. So can we color it red? Is it 2D, flat? No. Triangle, is it flat? Yes, a triangle is flat. So to be faster, I'm just going to put a red dot on it. A cube, is it flat? No, you can see it's fat. It has more than one side. Is a square flat? Yes, so I'm going to put a red dot on it. Is a hexagon flat? Yes, so I'll put a red dot on it. Is a circle flat? Yes, so I'll put a red dot on it. Is a rectangle flat? Yes, so I'll put a red dot on it. Is a triangle flat? Most certainly is. Is a cylinder flat? No, you can see it's fat. You can see it has different sides, curves, right? So we cannot put a red dot on it. Is a cone flat? Nope, you can see there's curves here too. Cones are not flat. Cylinder, can I color it red? No, it's not flat. It has different sides and curves. Cone again. We cannot put a red dot on it because it's not flat. It has different sides and different curves. So now we're going to put a blue dot on all of the shapes that are fat. So, a sphere is fat. A cube is fat. A cylinder is fat. A cone is fat. A cylinder is fat. A cone is fat. So remember, our 3D shapes are our fat shapes. Our 2D shapes are our flat shapes. All right, you guys did a great job for math today. We only have one thing left, and two things left. So we have our flashcards and our thematic video. Let's do our flashcard practice, and then we'll do our thematic video. So today is Wednesday, and on Wednesdays we practice our letters and our sounds. I have flashcards for us today. Let's practice our letters first, and then we'll go back through and we'll do our sounds. So, letter names only. K, V, X, Z, Y, T, F, U, C, W, Q, B, G, A, N, I D O M S P E R J L H. All right, now I'm going to mix them up and let's go back through. This time we will just say the sound. Here we go. J, L, S, Y, T, F, K, W, Q, B, G, K, V, X, Z, A, N, I, D, A, P, E. Nice job. All right, guys, the last thing, number 8, our thematic video. We said that today we are going to watch Ferdinand. So I found a short video on YouTube. It's the story of Ferdinand. I will post that link in the class tag post for the day. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And kiddos, I want you to remember that I love you, I miss you, and I will see you tomorrow for our video. Bye.